What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL First Look video with your boy. It is week 4, week 3. We absolutely dominated everything. Showdowns, main slate, showdown again last night on Monday. It was a great week in general, man, and I'm looking to keep that momentum up for week 4. Excited for it, obviously. GreenlightDFS.com to join the squad for that. GreenlightBets.com to join the squad if you're in a state that can bet on games. And GLDBreaks.com. I will be live tonight on this channel doing box breaks later on tonight. We'll be breaking some new 2021 football stuff on there later on tonight. So I'll be live tonight doing that. If you want to come in and ask any fantasy questions, I'll also answer them while I'm live doing that later on tonight. All right. All right, so thank you guys for joining me as always. Let's go ahead and smash again for week 4. As you guys know, in these first look lineups. Oh, and by the way, drop a like down below, comment anything in the comment section to enter your name into the $50 giveaway I do every single week on this channel. And once I post this video, I'll choose the winner and post the winner's name of last week's $50 down in the comment section. So check the comment section, scroll down, check the comment section when you're leaving your new comment and see if you are the winner from last week's $50 giveaway. And then contact me on Twitter at cam_ATL if you are the winner. In either way, follow me on Twitter at cam_ATL. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Tweets come through like text messages to my phone. So it's easy for me to get questions really quickly and get answers to you pretty efficiently and easily. All right. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Remember, first look lineup video is just an early gut, just kind of what I'm liking, just early look on the slate. Obviously, I haven't had a ton of time to study the slate, so I'm going just off early look. That's why most of the time Sunday lineups end up putting up our main lineups that we put on the site end up being a lot better than first look lineups most of the time. Now, there are those rare occasions where first look lineups and just that initial gut call on the slate ends up doing amazing, and studying can hurt you at times depending on if a guy gets injured or something. But remember, first look lineups just to get you started, just kind of give you good ideas, give you guys an idea of what I like based on, game scripts I'm expecting and stuff like that. So as the week goes on, we're going to have injury news, all types of stuff that's going to give certain guys bumps that I might not necessarily know about at this moment. All right. So starting off at quarterback, I hate to say it because my team has been horrible this year, but Matt Ryan is in a fantastic matchup at home in the Dome against Washington. So Atlanta has been really bad this year so far. Matt Ryan got 7 against Philly week 1, really struggled at home. And then they've been on the road last couple weeks. Matt Ryan seemed to get it going a little bit better, 22-16. He's only 5'4" going against a Washington squad that just gave up over 40 to Josh Allen. Now, Matt Ryan, in this point of his career, he can't even run 5 yards. So, he's old as hell. He doesn't have that 40 in him like Josh Allen. But Daniel Jones got almost 30 against Washington as well. Washington's been giving it up to quarterbacks. All right, and Matt Ryan is at home in Atlanta in a dome. I'm expecting a good game out of them here. They seem to have found it a little bit. Matt Ryan seems to have found it a little bit last couple games on the road, with them being back at home in Atlanta in the Dome against this bad Washington secondary. And I expect this game to be somewhat of a shootout as well. So Matt Ryan at 5'4". Matt Ryan, at the end of the day, yes, we lost Julio, but he's got solid targets out there. Calvin Ridley is solid, and Pitts should end up being pretty solid. And Mike Davis is a guy that he's like a much worse version of Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? Like, he can catch the ball, he can run it, but he just hasn't had, too much of a effect yet. But, he's got some decent targets in this offense. So I'm expecting Atlanta to get their offense together sooner than later. But Atlanta's defense is so bad, teams put up offense on them, and Atlanta always has to throw and keep the ball moving through the air. So I really like Matt Ryan here at 5'4". At running back, something tells me Derrick Henry or you lose this week. Derrick Henry has just been getting so many touches in the offense. 35 carries, 28 carries the next week. He's just getting fed the ball so heavily. This is a guy who got 22 Draftkings points this week against the Colts and did not even get in the end zone. He didn't even hit the end zone, and he got over 20 Draftkings points. Now he gets a matchup against the Jets, who gave up over 27 to Christian McCaffrey, gave up over 15 to Melvin Gordon. So I expect Tennessee to get up here pretty easily and be able to, they're going to run the ball 30 times, 30 plus times once again like they did against Seattle week 2. And I'm expecting a lot of success for Derrick Henry. And the fact that he didn't get in the end zone, I'm expecting a couple more touchdowns out of Derrick Henry in this one. And with him most likely running 30 plus times, getting over 100 rushing yards, and then multiple touchdowns. I really like Derrick Henry to be the highest scoring running back by a good margin this week. All right. Next up, now this guy's a little bit of I'm a little iffy on it, but let's talk about it. David Montgomery gets the benefit of going against Detroit. Now I know Tyson Williams. I mean that whole situation in Baltimore is something that I'm learning. You just can't mess with the running backs in Baltimore. You just stay away from that situation. But David Montgomery is the guy in Chicago. All right. Now his carries have been, up and down depending on how the game script is going, depending on how the game is going. He's at home in Chicago, going against Detroit. I'm not sure let me check what Vegas is looking like here. So Vegas has Chicago as 3-point favorites right now at home. With them being at home and being favored, David Montgomery should see a good bit of carries. I'm expecting 16 or more carries at least, like week 1 and 2. Week 1, he got 16 carries against the Rams for over 100 yards and a touchdown. Week 2 against Cincinnati, he got 20 carries, 61 yards. So he's fairly efficient with his stuff. And if they fall behind, he'll get some passes in the pass game as well. But David Montgomery is a guy that's up and down. He's not extremely consistent, and that's the bad part. But he does have huge upside in him. He showed last year, he got on a huge stretch between week 12 and week 17 last year. 28, 27, 27, 32, 20, 28. If they start to utilize this guy and kind of, with Justin Fields being quarterback, really involve the run. It was hard for them this last week because they were behind big most of the game, and they just had to air it out a ton, and it kind of took away from David Montgomery. But with this game being at home in Chicago, Justin Fields or whoever, Nick Foles or whoever gets to start at Chicago, I mean, they're getting a good bit of time to, get their feet under them and go again. Obviously, Nick Foles is probably the most experienced one, and if Andy Dalton misses with how Justin Fields looked last week, I don't know. Maybe I start Nick Foles this week, and that's something to keep an eye on as well, because whether Fields starts, Nick Foles starts, whatever happens there, that quarterback might be interesting this week. I don't care that Justin Fields just sucked, honestly. With a guy with the rushing prowess that he has, we know the talent that he has. I know he's got to get, comfortable, and that offensive line's not helping him any, but he's a guy that's got that rushing upside for a decent floor, it seems like. And then he's going against a bad Detroit defense. This isn't the same type of matchup that he had last week. This is a much easier matchup for him here, and I'm expecting big things at home in Chicago for whoever starts for Chicago. So anyway, David Montgomery is a guy I like under 6K in a solid matchup. And like I said, he's got those big games in him. All right, to pair Matt Ryan up, I really like Calvin Ridley. We know what kind of stud Calvin Ridley is. All right, he hasn't had that huge, gigantic game like he had last year, week 15, 35. Week before that, 29. Like, he's got huge upside. In the first weeks of the season last season, 36, 32. Now, part of that is because you got Julio Jones as a big weapon on the other side of the field there and taking away some of the, looks on him. Now Ridley is seeing number one cornerbacks. But lucky for us, I mean, the matchup's great regardless here for Calvin Ridley. They're giving it up to receivers. I love this spot here for him. I think he's going to get targeted a good bit. Like I said, I think this game ends up being a shootout. It's only a 1.5 spread. So I really like this game here in general. And with Atlanta being at home in the Dome, and they're actually underdogs right now. So Matt Ryan paired up with Calvin Ridley. I really like this spot here. And, I mean, the targets are there. 10 targets and 11 targets the last couple weeks. Now he's back at home in what should be a shootout against a bad secondary. I really like this spot for him. Now, let's move on to the next spot. Now, running Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan back, got to go with Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, 6'9". He is a guy that, as well, had huge season last year. Man, he was great. So far this season, he's been pretty damn solid. He got 10, 30, and 10. So it's up, down, up, down. But so that would tell us that he's about to have a 30-something point performance once again. Atlanta's secondary is horrible. This is a game that should be a shootout. I also, instead of Matt Ryan, if you want to go Heineke, I like that too. Because honestly, Heineke's got more of a rushing floor as well than Matt Ryan. But I believe, let me see, I believe you're paying more for Heineke though. Let me see, what was Heineke's price? Heineke's 5'9", so you're getting a $500 discount with Matt Ryan at home. But yeah, Terry McLaurin is a solid run back of the Matt Ryan Ridley. If you end up going that route and wanting to play what should be a shootout, close game in a dome, McLaurin's definitely a solid run back here. I expect a big game out of him this week. Another guy that hasn't performed yet but is going to have that blow-up game here soon, Robert Woods. Robert Woods obviously doesn't have the connection with Stafford as Cooper Kupp does, but at the end of the day, He is a solid receiver, and this is a nice spot here at home in their dome. Huge point total here, and if you don't have the money to for Cooper Kupp, or your type of lineup like this first look lineup is, and doesn't have Cooper Kupp, who I love, by the way, if I can figure out a way to get him and afford him, then I will. But Robert Woods is in a fantastic spot here. Obviously, defenses from the first 3 weeks have to figure out, like, look, all right, the way Cooper Kupp's been doing people, if we need to somehow slow him down and make Matthew Stafford beat us some other way. And once that does happen, if that does happen, and they try to, zone out and, block out Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods is going to benefit big time. And he will have a big game. Plain and simple, he will get that big game here soon. And at 5-3 in a game that should be a very good game against Arizona, I'm really excited about this game fantasy-wise as well. I really like Robert Woods here at home. And like I said, he hasn't done much so far this year, but I am expecting a solid game out of him here soon. All right? Now, this is an iffy spot here as well, but GameScript really has me liking Akins. All right, Jordan Akins for Houston. Houston is 17-point underdogs against Buffalo here in Buffalo. All right, Buffalo is going to absolutely destroy this Houston team. It's plain and simple. It's just obvious. It is what it is, okay? Vegas only has Houston implied for 15.5 team total, and they're 17-point dogs. What does that tell me? That means I want the pass catchers on Houston. I feel like the Houston pass catchers are pretty safe this week because of how many targets and how this game script's going to be here. In garbage time, they should be able to rack it up. So Brandon Cooks is in play for me, even though this Bills defense is solid, and I could see a route where Houston just gets routed completely, but Akins should see a good bit of targets here. He is a athletic tight end who has some decent games in him. Like, he can have a solid game here, and they have to throw to somebody. So Akins should be able to benefit here. Logan Thomas just dropped over 13 against this team. So in a game where Houston should be behind big, I just want some pass catchers, and if I can get some cheap ones, that makes me happy. And Jordan Akins gives me a cheap Houston receiver in what should be a game where they get dominated and have to throw every single play of this game. So I really like that spot for Jordan Akins. Now, with that being said, in a blowout game script, that's got to be good news for Zach Moss. All right, now this is a tricky situation in Buffalo with Singletary and Zach Moss. Both of these guys have done okay. Both of them are getting about equalish carries. It's not Singletary might be edging him slightly, but in a game like this, Zach Moss, the last couple games, he's gotten in the end zone. He's got 3 touchdowns the last 2 games. Okay, he did not play week 1 against Pittsburgh. The 2 games that he has played, he has gotten in the end zone 3 times. In a game where they should be up big against a Houston team that struggles against the run, I really like this spot here, man. It's a great spot for running backs here for Buffalo. Really like the running backs from Singletary, Zach Moss, whoever. It sucks to have to, I hate these situations where guys split like this, but Zach Moss is the guy who's really got the nose for the end zone. So I'm going to go with Zach Moss, and he's got that upside to really break one as well. So Zach Moss at 5-3 in a game where they're huge favorites is really interesting to me as well. Plus, if the blowout does happen, I expect them to give their young guys some run here. So Zach Moss should see some good touches there. All right. Defense-wise, the Dallas Cowboys have looked fantastic defense-wise, and they're going against the Carolina team that's going to be without Christian McCaffrey. That should probably get, it's going to be a struggle for Carolina this week. All right, Carolina's defense has been very, very good, but this Cowboys offense is elite. Cowboys are at home in their dome. They looked fantastic against Philly on Monday night, and their defense just looks really, really stout. Like I said, they're at home. They're going to beat Carolina most likely. Carolina's going to make mistakes trying to throw the ball, keep up. Trayvon Diggs is amazing. Micah Parsons is going to put pressure on Darnold, and it's just it's a tough spot here. All right, so Cowboys are only 2-6 too. So you're getting a really solid defense in a great spot here without their best player in Christian McCaffrey at only 2-6. So I really like the Dallas Cowboys as a defense as well. You guys know my feelings on defense. Most of the time, I just like to punt that. So just find a good value defense and, get what you want everywhere else. So that's it. First look lineup is Matt Ryan, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, Robert Woods, Akins, Zach Moss, and Cowboys defense. Thank you guys for joining me as always. GreenlightDFS.com to join week 4, and let's get it. Peace out.